where we discuss things that matter. And today's topic, where we're going to be discussing reparations. Reparations for Black Americans.
Okay.
Yeah, I said Black Americans purposefully.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with just a few reparations that have already been paid in the past to a group of people. So the U.S. government has already paid the Native Americans for unjustly seizing their land some money. Now, there was a court case because it wasn't used properly. It wasn't given out to the people properly, so they didn't even necessarily get the money like they were supposed to. However, it was paid. It can be traced back.
Okay.
Another one, Native Hawaiians. They were given reparations for the overthrowing of their kingdom by the U.S. government. And of course, we know the Tuskegee experiment. So the descendants and some of the people also received reparations. And then finally, the Japanese for the reparations for the internment camps after World War II.
And the slave masters. They got reparations after.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they
Okay.
got reparations
And the
after.
Okay, so
After
that's
their slaves were taken.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was something that I didn't even get to do in my research. So I did this from the History Channel, online history. So it's been done. So obviously my questions for today's topic, why have the masses of Black Americans, descendants that are still here, that are still living, that are clearly economically disadvantaged because of that, and their work of our forefathers has built this country. Why haven't we been given our reparations? And then how should those reparations look? Like, how should we be?
Girl, I had to take a whole,
compensated?
my meditation. I had to settle my stomach because that whole conversation just upsets me. Just after I found out that and that's why I said it, after I found out that the slave masters got money for their property.
Yeah.
It
It's definitely traumatic
And I
to hear
think,
that.
and
Definitely
I
is
think that's
traumatic.
something.
It's sad.
As soon as I get an opportunity, I would love for us to make sure we tag the resource to that, and make sure that people are out there, because I just learned something in that very quick second that I didn't know. So that's something that we need to know as people are all over trying to fight for these reparations. Oh, it's never gonna be taught. But if we put it out there, the internet is a beautiful thing. Yeah. If we put it out there, then that's going to fuel the fire to keep this going and going. So definitely, should we be paid is obvious, yes, I'm sure. But how? How should it look?
Well, I want to go back to what you said. Why do you think we're not?
Yeah, why do you think we're not?
Why do you think we're not and we haven't given reparations? I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. His name is Ta-Nehisi Coates. I think he came before the Senate on the 40th year of Juneteenth. So probably about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And he actually did a case for reparations. And basically he laid it out. He said, if you don't want to give us reparations, I'm paraphrasing because he's a scholar, so I'm paraphrasing. He said, if you don't want to give it to us because of the work that we've done, what about the unpaid wages? So he was, so he likened the slave, as much as they work for the years that they work. He said, so this is what we actually are owed. So he actually had a number to it. So it was excellent. I advise you to go back. Of course, you can pull it up on YouTube. It was an excellent argument. They heard it because they wanted to do something symbolic on Juneteenth, because that's when they were signing Juneteenth as a federal holiday. So, it made them feel good. When I say them, the powers that be. There was nothing going to be done afterwards, but of course. So I forgot the leader senator's name. He basically said, because the question was asked, well, do you think that African Americans, those who can trace back that they ancestors were actually were slaves, should they get reparation? He was like, no, because it's been over however many years, and no one is living during that time, so we should not have to pay back what our ancestors, he didn't even say what our ancestors, what those people did back then. Now, he also said, you know how they think that there are no obstacles in our way. Look at all the achievements. And then he said, we even had a Black president. So in their mind, they're thinking, there's nothing that's stopping you all from achieving the American dream. There's nothing that's stopping you all from getting what you want. There's no barriers. There's no obstacles. Because look at the achievements you have done. And he started listing all these people that achieved success. Yes.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, all of those people that we deem successful. Like, look, if they can do it, y'all can do it too. Why do you need a hand up? So I'm not of course, I disagree vehemently, but this is the reason he gave after that argument. Okay. So that's why
I feel part of the companies that we help build. Like the people who own slaves and their companies are still here today, make them pay some money.
Well, not even that. It's just, things that we use day by day, just for the simple fact that we have a country where we have agriculture. We worked all of that, and the information that we've learned, the science that we've learned has been passed on, and we've grown. Sometimes you can't even put a monetary base on what we have learned and what we're doing now that we're still using that was started back then. Right.
But your point was, well, not your point, but the point that was made was not your point. The point that was made was, well, there are no obstacles and y'all, they're dead and blah, blah, blah. We're still suffering and feeling the effects of that. The average white family has 10 times more wealth than the average black family.
See, we was locked out of that system when they was okay, now, you know, we have billionaires and they attribute to that. Most of our billionaires, if you look at most of our billionaires that we know of, the majority of them are in entertainment. And there's a reason for that. They allow us to entertain. But when you start talking about money, you talk about the steel, railroad. See, we was locked out of that infrastructure. We was locked out. I'm talking about wealth when the prohibition, when Rockefeller and he was, you know, selling that on the side. We were locked out of that. There was no way in the world they was going to allow us to get a piece of that penny. So because we were not able to get a part of that monies, we were not able to get a part of that wealth, they locked us out of that.
Yeah. But and that's terrible because you mentioned railroads. This pisses me off because the railroad industry, the slave industry was worth $3 billion during that time, way more than the railroad industry. So our bodies were worth more than the whole railroad industry. You know, so to say that is just absolutely crazy. We had value. That's why people were, even when it was illegal to do, they were still sneaking over to Africa, still, you know, doing that. Even the insurance on us, they would throw us overboard just to collect the insurance money. So to say that we already basically saying you ain't even worth it for us to pay you back.
And I think the bigger picture is, and that is often the argument that they go to. They always go to, well, that was then, it wasn't now. But the history of who we are as America was built on that. We would not be the America that we are had it not been for all the free labor that was provided by,
because we built the infrastructure
by black people.
We built capitalism.
Cotton industry, $250 million. Cotton industry, cotton industry.
Come on now, and textile and all those things. So you know. They don't get it, but we were not able.
They get it. They get it.
It's racism.
It's racism.
So how do we?
I'm not gonna let you. And you know, it's not even so much. It is racism, but it's about money.
It is
capitalism.
It's capitalism.
It's both.
And we built slavery is the foundation of capitalism. And I just you know, I'm glad we got people who can talk calmly. It just makes me angry. It makes me extremely
because they're
angry.
not going to level the playing field. They're not going to do it. And like you said, we would need those reparations. I mean, how much could they give us?
And how would they give us?
So that was my second question. And I'll start off so everybody have an opportunity to think about how you think it should be paid us. Because I have thought about this. The history. So I'm not a historian.
I've been thinking about this money.
I have thought about how can you help level the playing field for a whole group of us. I feel like we should forever and always be able to go to school at a higher level for free. The government should pay for us to go to college, bottom line. If you want to go, and I don't mean a trade school, but if you want to go to a trade school, that's fine. If you can trace your lineage back, because that's still, you got to do something. You got to want it. And that's still something that you can be prideful. It's not a handout, but it's a help. Because you still got to go and perform. So I feel like we should be able to go to school.
And half of these institutions we found, they sold their slaves to keep
get
their
schools land
so
open. So
I
feel like we should be able to go to school, and I feel like we all should get some piece of land. We have worked this land. We have built the stuff that's on this land. Our ancestors have given it. So we should have some portion of land that is ours. Now, once we get it, it's up to us to take care of it. It's up to us to pay the taxes on it. But we should be, and not that heirs land that was given, because that was part of the issue. That's part of how we got. So there were some Black Americans that did get land. My family got land, but it was in a way that it was heirs. So everybody that's in this generation has to all come together. We all have to pay the taxes, well, that's fine, but then we have to, well, am I going to be able to build on the land? I got to go through all this information before I can build on the land. And come on now. We should have to go through all that.
Yeah.
Just give me some outright land and go for this. So that's how I feel like I don't even want no dollars. How about that? You don't even got to give me no dollars.
So you just want us to be able to go to school?
You should be able to go to school for free, because what do we talk about student debt?
Yeah.
What do we talk that then? Okay, so we have we all are educated women, so we've gone to school, and what do we have? We have student loans. So what does that end up? So now I got that student debt. Guess what it's stopping me from doing when they decide to change the laws or how you can finance a home? Yeah. Oh, now we got to count your payment, and we have to count this as a debt. Yeah. So now, guess where I'm back? I'm back.
So it does lock you out of a lot of.
You understand what I'm saying? So
that debt is sitting right there.
Mm-hmm. Right, because
look at you.
Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned.
So I feel like those are the two things. I feel like if they did those two things, now I would be happy. But that's just me.
Okay, I agree with the land and education. Definitely the education.
Yeah.
Land for sure. And I don't want to pay taxes.
I'm
just throwing something out. I don't want to pay no taxes.
Jesus.
I know. I don't want to pay no taxes. I know the historian. No, I don't want to pay taxes. I wouldn't mind a little money.
You'd be okay with the money.
Now, what I don't want though is, because it's so many of us who are not educated on money, so we would just blow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a black thing. I think that's an American thing.
Mm-hmm.
Most Americans as a whole don't know how to utilize money properly. Let me think some more, because I got one more, but it went away. Because I'm trying to keep my anger down and my cussing spirit. So
not the cussing spirit.
I'm trying to keep all that down. But definitely, I agree with you on that.
So if they give you money, are you thinking it needs to be a yearly payment? So now that's another.
So that would go with the taxes.
That's what I'm saying. Now, if you don't give money, then you can reduce the taxes, because I start thinking about something else. Back to the whole capitalism. We work and we making a little bit of money and paying more taxes than the people that got businesses, and they can write all their things off. So maybe we can get some of those write-offs.
Oh,
maybe we can get some of those write-offs
and not have to
right.
Yeah. Now, you know what I just been thinking while you took. How would they prove? I thought about what you said. They would have to prove that we had families that were enslaved. Child, Ancestry.com gonna shut down.
Yeah.
Don't want to prove that you had somebody enslaved. I think another misleading thing for a lot of Americans is they look at it like it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
They look at it like it was so long ago. And I have some relatives that recently passed whose parents were right at the end of slavery.
Oh, yes.
I can't guarantee that they were enslaved, but they were right there at the end of slavery. They were living during that period.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As I go through documents. So it wasn't that long ago, but because of our lack of education, like I know you teach history, kids who don't know the difference between the civil rights movement and slavery. Mm-hmm. They sitting there talking about, well, was you a slave? No, baby, that was integration. Yeah. So I think you got to educate. It's really complex, Tasha.
Okay. It is complex.
But let's let that.
And that's purposefully done too, because even the history book, they have the pictures of Martin Luther King and all that in black and white. And if those pictures were color, so but they want them to think it was a long time ago. So that's purposefully.
And
done.
That's that get over it.
Yes, that is.
Which nobody else has to get over their atrocities. Let me just throw that in there right now. We're the only ones that have to get over the atrocities.
Because you told a Jewish person to get over it.
Oh, honey, you see
what happened. You see what happened to Whoopi.
Yes.
She was uneducated. Yeah. And they was like, okay. 2 weeks off.
Yeah, but we gotta get over it.
So that has always been my question when I saw that, and when I hear people talk about reparations, I'm like, well, how would it be given out? Yeah. And I would not want just everybody get $100,000 or whatever, because that's just going to stimulate this economy because people are going to go out and spend. So that is a question I don't know the answer to, because I don't know then what percentage would it be, the Plessy versus Ferguson thing, if you are a certain percentage, like what would be the percentage that you could get this, number one. Number two, it's like not getting tax breaks and this and that has an overall negative effect on your community. So, I would love the tax break, but how does that affect the community I live in? You know what I'm saying? So you take a neighborhood that's mostly black and everybody's getting certain tax breaks, Like what kind? Would it be property tax breaks, which directly affect the school?
Give me the same one with rich white people. Because
it
doesn't affect their community.
Right, that's what I was saying. I don't think it definitely wouldn't be a property tax thing. It would definitely be our income taxes that we pay. And okay, so I'm looking at how much money. Okay, so we made $100,000 a year. Okay, so the same way they do the child care credit. Okay, so you have children. Okay, and you're going to get so much. Okay, so you are, I like that percentage thing. It's going to be a high percent.
Yeah.
It's going to be a high, it ain't going to be no low percent because it's going to be a percent. Well, then you get this tax credit so that you don't have to pay. So
what did they give the people? Did you look that part up? What did they get?
I did. A lot of times they got monetary payments. Like one got $100,000. The Tuskegee experiment, that one says off the top of my mind. They got $100,000, and some of their descendants did, and various things. I'll look it back up and show you. So they actually did get a monetary.
And I want
put
business
in their hands.
loans. I know what the other thing. I want
business
loans.
I was going to say stocks.
That kind of things. Like I'm curious what they gave the Jews because it worked out well for them. So I wouldn't mind some of the stuff that they got. A lot of the Asians and the Middle Easterns, what's some of the perks they get when they come to America? Like, I want some of those perks, considering we built the country.
Right.
And I think, like you said, I was going to say stocks. I was going to say, let's deal with the here and now. Just wipe out our student loan debt. Like, just get rid of our student loan debt. I think that would just definitely help us. I also think stocks. I do think monetary. I do think we should also get land, but I also was thinking like somewhere the housing, maybe not pay taxes on our houses, whatever. When you purchase a house, is there some taxes and things that you have to pay and things like, so maybe not paying taxes on your houses because a lot of times.
Well, see, that's the property tax that she was speaking of.
So I think, like she said, I think it's complex, but I do think there are things that we can do right now. But then I'm also thinking, will it ever be enough? And I don't know if I want you, okay, I would take it, but there's a part of me that's like, it's not enough.
And that is what one of the...
and is it going to help me? Like, am I going to be... when I look at Jeff, whatever his name that owns Amazon, I look at these people like, they've had money for years. Like,
because of us.
Is it going to ever be enough? Is it going to be enough to lift our people up out of this poverty level?
And that's why I said I think it's important on how we do it, because I think if we go to school, because education, this is one thing my dad said, education levels the playing field.
It does.
It doesn't make it perfect, but it helps a little bit. So like we talk about, if you have an education, you are able to move differently. Yes. You are able to move differently. Yes. I'm not saying it's going to turn us into like, all of the people and stuff like that.
But you have a knowledge base.
You just have something where, like we've said, you can present something so your kids don't have to start over. Yeah. I'm just tired of us starting over. But we might not get up to where the people that own all of this and $1 billion and stuff like this, but just enough so we don't have to start over is what I'm saying. But I do get what you're saying. And in part of my research, there was something that happened recently. They had a whole sterilization going on in the U.S. and North Carolina. This is a sidetrack. I just think this because what you said. In North Carolina, they actually started to give the people back for the ladies that were sterilized.
They didn't even know.
And so this one lady said, I don't even want your money. Like, I don't even want your money. There's no amount of money that you could give me that is going to make this well within my spirit.
Yeah.
And she said she don't even want it. So I get what you're saying. Is it ever really going to be enough
and then
of what we do?
The political nightmare of it, like, do not get started with, if they actually were to publicize, all right, if you are 1/8 black, you gonna get this.
I think about with the Native Americans, how a lot of people who think they're Native American really are European, because you had a lot of whites during that time period.
People were enslaved. I'm like, damn.
Okay, wait a minute. I was about to say, that would be kind of hard pressed if you are Black American and you don't think that your people.
Oh, remember? Hold on. Remember, it was a sitcom, but there was some truth to it. Remember what Whitley said on Different World? Remember during that episode?
Yes.
She was like, "I'm sorry, baby, but my family owned slaves. We were not.
There were
so when we start tracing our history, maybe some stuff we may not see.
And depending on where you came from, because I can trace back from where my family came from, Africa, and where they ended up. See, in the
Caribbean, they weren't playing that. They were overthrowing these plantations and all this kind of stuff. Yes. So the freedoms were different there because of the fight. Yeah. And it didn't reach the United States.
I do remember hearing and seeing some of that.
So, I mean, sure like you said, that would be a political nightmare. But you know what? I don't know. I guess it's worth... I don't really know. I don't have an answer for this.
And I think a bigger part of reparations would be just acknowledging that
yes. Just apologize.
You know, it's like I told a coworker, I had to go back to my coworkers that I have all these debates with. It would be like a husband cheating on a wife or a wife cheating on a husband, and you like, okay, baby, we're gonna mend this. And never say sorry.
Right. That's
and then when you telling them, but I mean, dude, are you gonna even apologize?
Right. Just acknowledge.
Let me say something. I'm not cheating right now.
On top of that, the laws, we're not gonna acknowledge it, but then put laws in place, and you better not teach it, or you going to jail.
That's your certificate.
But let me tell you something. Bill Clinton was about to apologize. Right. And they pulled his coattail. They was like, Bill, you better shut up. And then he acknowledged the Tuskegee experiment because he was about to apologize. He was on the cusp of apologizing.
He did a formal apology to Hawaii, though.
Mm-hmm. And that was
for Queen Lily Lukiani. It was the 100-year anniversary. He did a formal apology to.
But yet you can't apologize.
I had to give it to him. He tried.
So in saying that, we have definitely struck a nerve. So we're gonna have to have a part 2 of reparations.
Yeah.
So and I think we kind of sort of knew that it was gonna be one of those. So thank you all so much, ladies, for that very fired up conversation on reparations. So we'll be looking for a part 2 on reparations. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Chatter, where we discuss things that matter. Bye-bye.
Bye.